So as per yesterday's conversation, I get that we've hunted the good stuff more than once. So I'm going to try to do this a little different and hopefully break it up a little bit. But I need to tell you a good example of hunting the good stuff. So when I was like 19 or 20, I had hernia surgery and had a lot of complications from it, and the doctor couldn't quite figure out what was going on. So he says, geez, you know, some of these symptoms seem like you might have prostate cancer. I was like, oh, that sounds pretty serious. He goes, yeah, it is. So what do we do? And he says, well, you need to go see a proctologist. I'm like, oh, okay then. So being the young millennial that I am, I Google it. So now I know that there's only one way to check for prostate cancer. All the technology in the world, all the technology of the 21st century, there is only one way to check for prostate cancer. So I know what's going to happen when I'm here. I'm trying to mentally prepare myself for what's going on. So I get to the hospital, I knock on the door, and all of a sudden it opens, and I don't see I see its stomach. And I look up, and it's freaking Andre the Giant, right? It's the Brock Lesnar of proctologists standing there. And I look up and I'm like, are you Dr. So-and-so? He's like, yeah, you must be Trevor. Nice to meet you. And he puts out this hand. It's like this giant bear claw. Wraps around my entire hand. And I shake his hand, and as God's my witness, I said, oh God, this is going to hurt. And he passed me on the shoulder and says, it's not that bad. Right? So I go in there, and all I can think about are these giant man paws. And like these sausage fingers that are about to invade my private space, right? So I've never had this done, and I'm a little worried, like, what if I like it? But that was like the worst of that was the least of my worries. I was more worried about like these things, like this is going to hurt. So he gets started, and I tried to man up, I really did. But I'm going to admit to you, I was bending over, and I cried, and I tried to eat like a wimp the entire time. And so he's doing it, he's like, Trevor, you need to relax. I'm like, I'm trying, right? And so I'm crying and dry heaving, and then when I say crying, like tears, like physically tears coming down, crying my eyes out as he's checking to see if I have this prostate cancer. And then as he's doing it, he's asking about the football game. Like, oh, did you see the Vikings? And I'm like, can we not talk? And so he's like, yeah, I usually have to talk you young guys through this. And as he's doing it with these giant man paws, the only thing I think of, because he brought up football, you know the giant #1 foam fingers? That's what I pictured going, it was, but instead of foam, it was like not soft, right? And so he gets done and he's like, yeah. No prostate cancer there. And I'm like, thank you. And so then I'm like trying to bring myself back together, and really I'm thinking like, was I just raped? And you know, all these thoughts come through my head, and he grabs some paper towels and tosses them. He's like, here, clean yourself up so I don't slide out of your driver's seat. And so then I get done, and I walk out of there just completely feeling violated. I'm still sniffling their snot all over my face. And but then I thought to myself, well, hey, at least I don't have prostate cancer. So I had this horrible experience that I really don't want to do when I'm 40 again. Like, I want like the small little Asian doctor, not Brock Lesnar doctor. And I did wonder, as like when he was in medical school, did someone take his hand and as a joke say, man, look at those hands, you should be a proctologist. And he thought that they were serious. I don't know why he chose this. And it was a bad decision on his part, but instead of focusing on this horrible experience, I at least got to look for the silver lining of I don't have prostate cancer. I don't have to go through that horrible thing. So when we're looking at Hunt the Good Stuff, since we have done this before, I really just want to do this more as a facilitation. So Hunt the Good Stuff. What is the skill? Who thinks they know? Back there.
One of the skills is having a positive attitude.
Okay, so the primary target of Hunt the Good Stuff is optimism and looking for positive emotions. That's great point. What else do we know about Hunt the Good Stuff?
Persevering in a horrible situation.
Okay, trying to find ways to find that silver lining in any situation. What else?
Taking that time when you're having a particular situation to think about other stuff that is positive.
Yeah, and trying to counteract that negativity bias, because as human beings, we're very negative people. That's the easiest thing in the world is being negative. And soldiers are really good at it. And so with Hunt the Good Stuff, it's trying to find the positives in everything they do. So the book answer is use to notice positive experiences to enhance optimism, gratitude, and other positive emotions. And so basically we're just really trying to stop being negative and try to start becoming more positive. And we do that in the way that, in certain ways. And so when do we use it? When is this skill useful?
Every day?
Every day.
Every day.
And so when you go through the MRT course, they actually teach you to do this as a journal, where every single day you find 3 good things. And when I went through the course, I went through the course at Fort McCoy. Do you think it was pretty easy to find 3 good things that happened at Fort McCoy for 2 weeks? Not so much. And like they all involve McCoys. That's really what it was. So basically, you try to find 3 good things, no matter how big or how small, in order to get, reflect on your day. And so you do use it every day, but you can also use it in a pinch. So you hunt the good stuff on a regular basis in order to counteract the negativity bias. And do you guys remember what the negativity bias is? I already mentioned it once. Basically, your human nature of being negative. It's so easy to see the negative in things. So we're trying to counteract that. So you want to use it every day to keep building positive emotions. But when you're having just a really, really crappy day and you're just a little down, you can also use it kind of on the spot to try to change the way that you're looking at the current situation. And so then, how do you use the skill? What do you guys do? What do you do with it?
You just reflect on your situation and realize that the drill sergeant told me in basic that remember that everything has an ending. So no matter what you're in or what you're doing, it's going to stop sometime. So just suck it up until the end.
Yeah. So the book answer is to write down 3 positive experiences from the day and write a reflection about why the good thing happened, what the good thing means to you, what you can do to enable more of the good thing, or what ways you can contribute to the good thing. And so this is one of those things where when I went to MRT course, I was like, yep, not going to do that. But then they made us do it as homework. And then the more I did it, the easier it became. And this is something that I still do each night when I go to bed. I just don't write it down. So it's one of those skills that when you first start using it, it's going to be a little difficult because you're going to be really struggling to find good things to reflect upon. But then the more you do it, the easier it gets. And then you eventually don't have to write it down. You can just really use it as an internal skill. So now that we have kind of gone through this, we're just going to do a quick review, and this is not going to last till 1100. So Hunt the Good Stuff was based on work by Martin Siegelman. You guys probably don't care who he is, but he's really big in the resilience world. And he builds positive emotion, optimism, and gratitude, and it counteracts the negativity bias. Now here's the key benefits to this is better health, better sleep, and feeling calm, lower depression, greater life satisfaction, more optimal performance, and better relationships. And so one thing to keep in mind about the human body and our emotions is that whether we like it or not, our emotions very much control our bodies. And so when we have emotions, we actually have a physiological response to emotions. So when we are upset or nervous, we feel our heart rate increase. We feel our blood pressure increase. We get sweaty palms. Maybe we start perspiring in other parts of our body. And eventually, if you have too much negative energy or negative emotion, your body's physical response is going to be worse and worse, ultimately leading to ulcers. And so when you have too much negative emotion, your stomach eats itself. And so we have a lot of physiological responses to emotions. And they're really bad when it's negative emotion. So when we start focusing on positive emotion, the reason it says better health and better sleep is because when we have positive emotion, our heart rate decreases, our blood pressure decreases, and we don't have really horrible things like ulcers going on. And so we're preventing our body from eating itself. It increases your immune system, so you get sick less often. And so it does really lead to better health, better sleep, and feeling calm. And it does lower depression because now instead of constantly focusing on all the horrible things that are going on in your life, now you're focusing on the positive things that are going on in your life. And it helps you have more optimal performance and better relationships with others. Because with better relationships, like, does anybody want to be around somebody who's just down, depressed, and crabby all the time? Probably not. So if you're more positive, it's better relationships. So it's really easy. You record 3 good things each day, and you reflect upon each one, and you think to yourself, why did this good thing happen, what this good thing means to you, what you can do tomorrow to enable more of this good thing, and what ways you or others contributed to this good thing. So when we ask about good things, we have to really think about what do we mean about good things. my good thing might not really resonate with you for your good things. So it's really in the eye of the beholder, and it can be anything big or small. So I actually got a job after graduating college and applying 300 different places. I went to a movie with my nieces today. I had biscuits and gravy at breakfast this morning. Date night with a spouse. I passed an important exam. I went home and mom cooked me a nice meal, so I didn't have to eat ramen noodles for the 5th night in a row, college students. So they can be big or small. It's really in the eye of the beholder. And the importance of the good thing is unique to each individual. So again, what is important to me might not be important to you. Another great example is I was traveling around the state doing resilience training for the reintegration program. And they put me up in this crappy hotel in the middle of nowhere in southwestern Minnesota. And I get up in the morning, and I drove like 6 hours to get there. I'm crabby about it. And wake up a little later than I wanted to, so now I'm not going to get breakfast. And so I get in the shower, and it's like a trickle coming out of the shower head. And I'm trying to like wash the soap out of what little hair I have, and I'm just pissed off now that this stupid shower doesn't have any water pressure. And I could have let that ruin my entire day, but instead at that moment I stopped and I said, you know what, I'm being really negative right now, and I don't want this to determine my entire day. I need to hunt the good stuff. And the good thing that I found was, well, at least I have running water. And that enabled me to kind of turn my day around and make it into a much better day rather than being pissed off about everything that went wrong that morning. And so some days your good things may be small, and it's okay, you just need to reflect on them and move on. So it counteracts the negativity bias, and you can counteract it. This is the tendency to pay more attention to bad events than positive events by recording the 3 good things, and optimism is the primary target of Hunt the Good Stuff. Now, with Hunt the Good Stuff, this isn't to say that we're just kind of ignoring all the bad things that go on in our lives. This isn't to say that we're just going to put on some blinders and just pretend all is good. Like, there's going to be bad stuff that happens in your life, and bad stuff that you have to reflect upon, and bad stuff that you have to deal with. So this isn't to try to erase all this. This is to try to help you get through this. But sometimes this can be too much of a good thing. Oh, I need to hook the speaker, don't I?
I'm Stanley Johnson. I've got a great family. I've got a 4-bedroom house in a great community. Like my car? It's new. I even belong to the local golf club. And how do I do it? I'm in debt up to my eyeballs. I can barely pay my finance charges. Somebody help me.
There's more way to consolidate your debt at LennyTree.com.
So he obviously hunts the good stuff a lot, but in this instance, hunting the good stuff is he's doing it too much, it's hurting him. So don't use this to try to ignore all your problems. Use this to build optimism and get through your problems. What kind of questions do you guys have? Questions going once, going twice. 19 minutes. Have a nice day.